Hello, children. Today we are going to study the final part of this story, Fair Play. As you all know, it is written by Munshi Premchand. It's a wonderful story about friendship, justice, and loyalty to each other. In first part of the story, we have already seen that Jumman Sheikh and Algu Chaudhary were best friends. And after one incident, they became enemy. And in the second or first part of the story, we have already seen the attitudes, the behavior towards elder, how should we behave. Jumman Sheikh, as you have seen in the story, he behaved very brutally with that old lady. In the third part, we will see how the next panchayat gave decision and how the story changed and how the Jumman Sheikh and Algu Chaudhary became friend again. So let's see. In the first and second part of the story, we have already read and the chapter has been explained to you. In the first part of the story, we have seen Jumman Sheikh and Algu Chaudhary were very good friends. They were known for their loyalty and service to each other. Their friendship was support to their families. They were living for the friendship. The village people respected them a lot for this because they were a very good example of true friendship. Jumman's aunt transferred her property to Jumman on a condition that he would look after her throughout her remaining life. But after a couple of years, Jumman and his wife changed their behavior. She was not treated well by them and had to face a tough time because she was totally dependent on the Jumman. She was not given food. When things went beyond limits, she spoke to Jumman and asked him to give her some money on a monthly basis so that she could run her house independently. Jumman neglected her words and insulted her. That insult made her hurt. She was hurt, and so she dared to take the matter to the panchayat. She chose Algu Jumman's best friend as her head punch. Being a punch, Algu had no choice but to speak the truth. He gave his judgment in aunt's favor. Now Jumman had to pay a fixed monthly amount to his aunt. As per the judgment, somehow Jumman was not able to take this in the right spirit. He was become enemy of Jumman. He developed hatred against Algu. Both of them became enemy. After that, we will start part number 3. Days parts, and as ill luck would have it, Algu Chaudhary found himself in a tight spot. One of his fine pair of bullocks died, and he sold the other to Samju Sahu, a cart driver of the village. The understanding was that Sahu would pay the price of the bullock in a month's time. It so happened that the bullock died within a month. Now I am going to explain this chapter. This paragraph. Tight spot means difficult situation. Here you can see tight spot means difficult situation. After some time, unfortunately, Algu Chaudhary was caught up in a difficult situation. He had a pair of bullocks and one of them died. So he sold the other one to Samju Sahu, who was a cart driver in the village. Now here you can see a new character, Samju Sahu is appeared. And he sold the other one to Samju Sahu, who was cart driver in the village. They had a deal that Sahu would pay the price of the bullock within a month. But bullock died within a month. It was his ill luck, or you can say the unfortunately it was happened. Now we're just moving to the paragraph number 10th. Several months after the bullock's death, Algu reminded Sahu of the money he hadn't yet paid. Sahu got very annoyed. I can't pay you a penny for the wretched beast you sold me. He brought us nothing but ruin. I have a bullock. Use it for a month and then return it to me. No money for the dead bullock, he said angrily. Now here you can see wretched. Wretched means poor and unhappy. Wretched means poor and unhappy. Poor and unhappy. Many months passed and Algu asked Sahu to pay the money. Now, Algu was very annoyed that Sahu is not paying the money. Sahu was very offended. He spoke with anger that it was not possible for him to pay even a single penny for the poor animal, which he sold him because it brought him nothing but just ruin. In other words, bad days. Further, he offered him to take his bullock to use for a month and return. But he would not pay any money for the dead bullock. Now here, Samju Sahu was not ready to pay money for this ruin, or you can say very not proper animal, it's a very poor animal. So he was not ready to pay a single penny. Now let's move to the paragraph number 11. Algu decided to refer the case to the panchayat. Now again the case went to the panchayat. For a second time in a few months, preparation for holding the panchayat were made, and both the parties started meeting people seeking their support. Nominated means nominated means to propose or recommend. The panchayat was held. Algu decided to refer the case to the panchayat. For a second time, in a few months, preparation for holding the panchayat were made, and both the parties started meeting people seeking their support. Now, here you can see seeking, seeking means asking for, and to make a request. Now here you can see now Algu decided to take the whole matter to the panchayat. The panchayat was being held twice in the time period of a few months. Both the parties started meeting people to ask for support and help. Now let's move to the paragraph number 12. The panchayat was held under the old banyan tree. Algu stood up and declared that the voice of the Panch is the voice of God. In other words, the Panch had to be fair and just. With this declaration, he suggested Sahu to propose the head Panch. He also said that he would accept whatever would be decision. Now here you can see the panchayat was held under the banyan tree, and Algu stand up and said, the voice of the Panch is the voice of the God. And here you can see the same lines are repeated again. The voice of the Panch is the voice of the God, because whole villagers here you can see trusted in the Panch and the Panchayat. So again the same thing you can see in this paragraph number 4, number 2. And Algu said that let Sahu nominate the head Panch. And he also said that he would accept whatever would be the decision. Now let's move to the paragraph number 13. And here you can see nominate. Nominate means to propose or recommend it. Recommend. Now let's move to the paragraph number 13. Sahu saw his chance and proposed the name of Jumman. Algu's heart sank and he turned pale. But what could he do? Now here you can see few more words which are new. Proposed, proposed means suggested. And the next word is Algu's heart sank means Algu felt discouraged. Algu heart sank means Algu felt discouraged. Sahu took it an opportunity and suggested Jumman's name. Algu felt disheartened and weak inside, but he was completely helpless. Now let's move to the 14 number paragraph. The moment Jumman became head punch, he realized his responsibility as judge and the dignity of his office. Could he, seated in that high place, have his revenge now? He thought and thought. No, he must not allow his personal feelings to come in the way of speaking the truth and doing justice. Now here we can see as soon as Jumman became head punch, he understood the responsibility of the judge. He understood what is the dignity of the judge and the respect and decorum this office held. His inner voice forced him to think. He asked himself if it was the right thing to take revenge while being seated at such a high position. Is it correct? He just asked himself. His higher voice means inner call did not permit his personal feelings to overpower the way of justice and truth. Now here you can see he examined himself. He asked himself, because the feeling of revenge was always there inside his heart, but when he seated at this high position, at the seat of judgment, he examined, he assessed himself that what he was going to do and how he gave decision. So now he was preparing himself for the judgment and he was assessing himself that he could do the correct thing. His conscience not allow to do injustice. Now let's move to the 15 number paragraph. Both Algu and Sahu stated their cases. They were cross-examined and the case was considered deeply. Then Jumman stood up and announced, "It is our opinion that Sahu should pay Algu the price of the bullock." When Sahu bought the bullock, it suffered from no disability or disease. The death of the bullock was unfortunate, but Algu cannot be blamed for it. Algu could not contain his feelings. He stood up and said loudly over and over again, "Victory to the Panchayat! This is justice. God lives in the voice of the Panch." Now, here we can see few more new words. Dignity. Dignity means high rank. High rank or respect. And the next word is cross-examined. It means questions. Cross-examined means questioned. Both Algu and Sahu spoke their matter and kept their view and concern before everyone. They were questioned and every small detail of the case was looked upon very minutely. After hearing everything, Jumman stood up and declared that, in their views, Sahu should pay Algu the price of the bullock, as at time of sale and purchase the bullock had no suffering or disability of any kind. The death of the bullock was a bad luck. Unfortunately, the bullock was dead, but Algu could not be blamed for this. Algu became emotional because Algu was not expected this type of decision, because Algu was feeling that Jumman having a feeling of revenge. So he became emotional. He stood up and declared that it was victory of the Panchayat. It was victory of the justice and truth and a complete justice. God is nowhere but in the voice of the Panch. Again the same line they were repeated again and again. The God is nowhere but in the voice of the Panch. Let's move to the paragraph number 16. Soon after, Jumman came to Algu, embraced him and said, "Since the last Panchayat, I had become your enemy. Today, I realize that it means to be a Panch. A Panch has no friend nor enemy. He knows only justice. Let no one deviate from the path of the justice and truth for friendship or enmity." Algu embraced his friend and wept, and his tears washed away all the dirt of the misunderstanding between them. This is the conclusive part of this story. And in this story, you can see the victory of justice, the victory of friendship, the victory of love and compassion, and the victory of truth. This is very important paragraph of this story, because in this story, in this paragraph, Prem Chand has declared the victory of justice. Here you can see the debate means move away from. Move away from. Immediately after this, Jumman went to Algu, hugged him, and felt sorry for being his enemy from the time of last Panchayat. The feeling of repentance in the heart of the Jumman. And Jumman was became very, very emotional. That day he had understood the importance of a punch. A punch is a impartial and unbiased. He could not afford to have friends or enemies. If the judge is sitting on the seat of the justice, so he should not be impartial. He should not be unbiased. He should not be biased. He should not be partial. So he knows only one thing, and that is justice. Nobody should ever move away from the path of justice and truth for anything, either friendship or enmity. Algu hugged his friend and cried as if in repentance. His tears cleaned all the misunderstanding between two friends. Here you can see the reunion of the two friends, those who were very good friend, very best friend in the olden days, but after few incident they became enemy. And now at the end of the story you can see again they embraced themselves and wept, and their tears washed away all the dirt, all the misunderstanding away, and they cleaned their heart. They became again a very good friend, a very trustworthy friend, and again their friendship living love. In the third part of the story, we have seen few days later, Algu was caught up in a fixed, difficult situation. One of his pair of bullocks died, so he sold his other bullock to Samju Sahu. He was supposed to pay money within a month, but alas, the sold bullock died before the expiry of the period of the payment. So Samju was not ready to pay money to Algu. Now Algu was left with no other option but to take the case to the Panchayat. This time, Samju Sahu appointed Jumman, now enemy of Algu, as the head punch. As the head punch, Jumman realized that the responsibility of the head punch is above everything in this world. Algu was afraid of losing the case, but Jumman had to speak for the truth. So he gave judgment in his favor and ordered Sahu to pay the money to Algu. Algu was so overwhelmed, and he declared aloud that the voice of the punch is the voice of the God. Both the friends hugged each other. Their tears cleaned their hearts. They shed tears because their heart felt that they have done something good for each other. So again they become friends. So that's all for today. Have a good day. We will discuss tomorrow the question and answers which are based on this chapter.